Joining us. And there'll be a brief opportunity for some questions after. Thank you.
Is the mic working now? Is it working now? Okay. Good. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm joined here by Grand Chief Kathy Marc, as well as Minister of Families Rochelle Squires. I'll just have a few opening comments, and then I'm going to pass it over to Grand Chief for some words. Most people have lost a loved one, but very few have experienced a loss like the families of these victims. I know it's sometimes difficult for politicians to express not only how we feel personally, but how we feel as communities. I don't think this is one of those times. As a mother and as a parent, I know too well the lengths I would go to for my children. So to the families, from my heart, I am so incredibly sorry for your loss. Family is the greatest gift, and our whole community stands with you during this horrible tragedy. Last week at the State of the Province address, I read the names of these individuals, of these women. I will say them today so anyone who hears my voice will hear and remember them as well. Rebecca Contois, Morgan Harris, Mercedes Myron, Buffalo Woman. We grieve for you. You are loved. You are missed. I commit to the families today that we will do everything in our power to protect the integrity of the justice process so that you can find some closure. In Manitoba and across the country, we have all seen all too many headlines about missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit. These crimes are a provincial and national tragedy, and another dark chapter has happened here in Winnipeg. We must take every effort to make it stop. We must stop this from happening. To the larger Indigenous community, the province supports a table of your leaders to review and consider what steps should be taken next. We must be mindful of the justice process, but we must also ensure a respectful and appropriate examination of the feasibility of whether these bodies can be recovered. It is honorable and appropriate that the leadership of the Indigenous community take the lead on this work. Grand Chief Marc, as well as Chief Kyra Wilson, and I just met prior to this, and I just want to thank you so much, Grand Chief, for being here today and for the discussion that we had earlier today. The Indigenous-led feasibility study will also include a member of the Winnipeg Police Service. The Government of Manitoba will, of course, participate as well, and we will provide any technical resources and expertise that are needed and contribute to the effort financially. I spoke to Prime Minister Trudeau as well this morning, and he has pledged financial support for the feasibility study and offered additional assistance as needed. And I want to thank him for his commitment on behalf of all Manitobans. I have also spoken to Mayor Scott Gillingham to continue our work together. I want to thank him for his leadership during these difficult days. He and I met last week and quickly agreed to call for a pause at the Prairie Green facility. Our government sent a letter to the city offering expert input and further collaboration from the province. And I want to thank the officers on the investigation team with the Winnipeg Police Service for their tireless efforts on this case. As parents and as family members themselves, I am sure this very tough work takes its toll, and I honor their service. Our government has been in contact with the operators of Prairie Green Waste Facility. They have acted as honorable corporate citizens and, more importantly, as caring citizens through this tragedy, and have willingly agreed to pause operations indefinitely until clear direction is established through this feasibility study. I thank them for their sensitivity and for their cooperation. Finally, I want to convey a message to all Manitobans. The holidays mean many things to people. There is spiritual joy and celebration. There are traditions of gift-giving and an opportunity to take some much-needed rest. And for many of us, there is the incredible pleasure of just being with family and building memories. This year, I ask every Manitoban to take a moment to consider that there are some among us who have had their families torn apart and who cannot celebrate as usual this season. Think of them. Pray for them. Do an act of kindness and service for them. I wholeheartedly believe that we must honor the passing of these women in some tangible way, and that is what belonging, of course, to a community is all about. And it's an incredible honor for me to be here today with Grand Chief Marc, and I would like to call on her to say a few words. Grand Chief?
Thank you, Premier, and thank you for being able to be here today to speak on an issue that is very detrimental to my people that I represent as the Grand Chief of Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. Today I've come full circle in terms of reaching out to the governments and reaching out to the federal government, who has a fiduciary responsibility for my people. I reached out to the mayor of the city of Winnipeg. I reached out to the chief of police of the city of Winnipeg. And now today I reached out to the premier of Winnipeg. This brought us to this point in time today in terms of our missing and murdered women. It is not only an Indigenous problem. It's not only for Indigenous people, it's for Manitobans, and so also for all Canadians, that they be able to hear and that they be able to see what happens in the province of Manitoba. Today, I am grateful for the Premier to be present and to be able to assist us in our process of developing a feasibility study committee, and her commitment to assign a person to that committee, and the financial support that is going to come once we get the feasibility study approved, and that we will start that work, and that we will continue to search for our women. I would like to thank the families, and it's so heartbreaking to hear young women speak of their mom, that they had to do it nationally to bring attention to this issue of our missing and murdered women in this province. In other provinces, it's a national issue, and we need to step up as politicians to ensure that this does not happen, and that we are here today to start that journey, to be able to work together, to be able to establish a process where others can come, so they don't have to reinvent the wheel of going through the process that we went through as the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. We reached out to everybody. We reached out to ministers at the federal level, that they support us in searching for our women. in searching for our missing and murdered women in this province. So today, I give thanks to Creator for being able to bring us together as mothers, as grandmothers, that we speak from the heart in a good way, in a good manner, moving forward, that we work together to bring our women home, to make sure that they're taken care of in the way that they should be taken care of. So with that, I give thanks today in this.
That we're happy to take any questions that anyone may have. So within the scope of this particular practice right now, what is going on here is going to be taking on the Prairie Green facility for right now. It's not to say that that won't change in the future. As you know, we were out announcing last week, the process last week. It's going to be ever evolving and ever changing throughout the process. And so for right now, that's what the scope is now. But, certainly, we'll look at that as things evolve. Yeah, so for right now, we haven't determined what that will be. We want to see, because this is going to be led by Indigenous communities, so we want them to come forward and indicate to us what they would like to see from this. For right now, we're giving our commitment to be at that table to ensure that we're part of the process as well. So that will include some financial resources that will be determined at a later date. Yeah, so I think I may ask Grand Chief to answer that question, because again, this will be Indigenous-led, and I believe our first meeting is on Monday. But Grand Chief, do you want to say a few words?
Thank you so much for that question. And we, at present, we established a group, a committee, I should say, and they'll be meeting on Monday. They had an initial meeting yesterday, and they had, so what I informed them that I wanted representation from the province to be at the table prior to any meeting starting, which I got today from the Premier, that she will be assigning a person to be a part at that table. So once that is, once we come together, once we get the feasibility study complete, we will take it to the federal government. And once approved, they have said that they are going to fund the feasibility study. So it is the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs that is taking the lead, along with the chief from Long Plains, Chief Kyra Wilson. So we're taking that lead, and once we get it to that level, we'll be able to determine when and how it's going to work out.
Stefanson, given how low people are predators, what is Congress going to be doing to ensure there's even more housing?
Yeah, and of course, we'll be looking at that moving forward, and I know Rochelle Squires, Minister of Families, is here and could talk a little bit about on our housing strategy and homelessness strategy moving forward, but we have taken a number of initiatives to ensure that we get the most violent criminals off of our street, to ensure that they aren't in a position to continue to prey on these vulnerable Manitobans. So we have taken several steps in that direction, and I know that there will be more to come.
But we have a situation where we have indications that this accused serial killer was preying upon women who visited shelters. So what in the short term, the immediate term, is going to be done to ensure those shelters have additional needs to protect the people who visit?
Bartley, I'm not going to comment on the individual case right now. Well, yeah, the question started off that way, though, and I certainly don't want to go down that path. Again, we want to protect the integrity of the prosecution and that in that process. If you're talking about just housing in general, we do have a plan, and we will work closely with the federal government to ensure, and we have a homelessness strategy as well moving forward.
I'll rephrase the question. What are you going to do to ensure that shelters have the resources immediately to protect the women who visit them?
Yeah, I'll just pass it over because we have made significantly more contributions to those as well.
So thank you, and as you'll recall, just a few short weeks ago, Premier and I were announcing an additional $9 million for our shelters, which included contributions to Nadinawaymak, Siloam, Main Street Project, Salvation Army, and others outside of the city of Winnipeg. And we're in contact with our partners, including End Homelessness Winnipeg and our shelters, to ensure that we're providing the resources, and we're open to future dialogue with them.
My question is about specifically the security. And what I understand, and I am aware of the contributions that you've made to the shelters in terms of operating them. But in terms of additional measures, they're trying to service shelters. Protecting these people is
Yeah. So the extra $9 million that Premier and I had announced last month is certainly for the operations, and operations does include additional security. I really do want to commend the Sabi Peace Walkers and other personnel that are working in the downtown area, particularly working in with our unsheltered population to provide services. Downtown Community Safety Partnership is also at the table to ensure that services are being provided and that people get the support that they need. You'll also recall that we just passed two pieces of legislation, one in particular that is really going to support vulnerable children and youth under the age of 18 getting resources and a no contact order against a harmful individual and vulnerable youth if that is required. We just passed that into law a few short weeks ago, and there's certainly much more to come, because as you heard today, the atrocity of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls is a collective responsibility, and the province of Manitoba is committed to ensuring that we have basic human rights and safety for all individuals.
Yeah, we continue to have ongoing discussions about that. It's just the particular cell that is closed at this time. It's not the entire operation, and so again, we can get more details on that. But to my knowledge, I mean, those are ongoing discussions that will continue to take place.
what percentage of that block of that cell comes?
Pardon me?
What percentage of the Prairie Green landfill roughly would that cell comes?
Good question, Bart. Well, we can get you that.
In your conversation with the Prime Minister, did you ask for any additional support or any specific asks in respect to feasibility search for support for vulnerable people?
We talked specifically really just about the feasibility study that will take place, and he did say that and did indicate that he is very supportive of that and will put financial resources towards that. It was a fairly quick conversation, but it was a very good conversation, and I think it's important that we're working collaboratively on this very important issue. Thank you, everyone.